When the original Kingdom Hearts was released almost 20 years ago, it brought two powerhouses of entertainment together to create something unlike anything ever seen before. Disney had produced video games in the past and had seen considerable amounts of success throughout the 90s. This was fueled by original releases such as Castle of Illusion, which starred Mickey Mouse, tie-ins with some of their animated TV shows like DuckTales, and games that were produced to accompany big-budget feature films like The Lion King and Aladdin. But as video gaming moved on, Disney struggled to keep up. The frequency and quality of their licensed video games decreased, and it meant the partnership with Square that led to the creation of Kingdom Hearts came at the perfect time. Using an original cast of characters, a world was created that leveraged the popularity of Disney and the popularity of Square to create something special. And over the years, the Kingdom Hearts franchise has continued to grow, pulling on properties where it makes sense to do so in order to enrich the story and stay relevant. As of right now, there have been buckets and buckets of Kingdom Hearts releases, and they have spanned numerous consoles and genres. In the past, this has always served as something of a deterrent, as to get the full Kingdom Hearts experience, you would need access to a whole host of consoles. But following the release of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix, everything started to become a bit more accessible, and as of right now, Square Enix has made it so you can now play almost every single Kingdom Hearts game on almost every major platform. And that brings us on to the purpose of this video, as we're going to talk about why right now is the perfect time to get into the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and it's something that's been spurred on by the release of Kingdom Hearts on PC. Within the last decade, it's been no secret that PC gaming has exploded in popularity. This led to console publishers, especially in Japan, attempting to figure out how they could take advantage, and the result was that numerous games that would have previously been console exclusives have found their way onto the PC. Now, prior to 2013, as a means to try and make the game more accessible to a broader audience, the Kingdom Hearts series had only ever been ported across the various current generation consoles. The initial step was the release of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix in 2013, and this saw the series ported to high-performing consoles with upgraded graphics, quality of life improvements, and it also allowed gamers in North America and Europe to play the final mixed version of Kingdom Hearts, complete with new localization. This was then followed up by the release of Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD Remix, and both games were released on the PlayStation 4 a few years after. Following the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, which also appeared on the Xbox One, both titles were ported to this new platform so that they were accessible to this new audience. But there was no word on whether a PC port would be considered for either Kingdom Hearts 3 or any of the compilation titles. That was until February 2021. Fans rejoiced when Square Enix announced that Kingdom Hearts would finally be making its way to PC through the Epic Games Store on the 30th of March 2021. And although no details have been currently released about how well the PC ports are optimized, many fans and newcomers alike are excited to be able to enjoy the franchise on an entirely new platform. But if you've been on the fence about playing Kingdom Hearts, and its release on PC in isolation isn't enough to convince you to dip your toes in, here are some more reasons about why you should give the franchise a look. Much has been said about how detailed and complicated the story of Kingdom Hearts is. There are countless videos on the topic, and huge theory threads talking about how certain characters are related to one another, what their motivations are, when certain events take place, and who are the somebodies of Demyx and Luxord. But even though this may seem rather daunting, putting all of that aside, Kingdom Hearts does have a story worth investing in, whether you want to take a deep dive or not. At its helm is the main protagonist, called Sora, who has grown up so much as the franchise is built out, but even after countless games, he's still cherished by fans who have been there since the beginning. He has been joined by the ever-faithful Donald Duck and Goofy, and Riku and Kairi, two of Sora's closest friends, have also been strong allies as well as having their own compelling story arcs. Xehanort's role is befitting of an antagonist, and even though the introductions of Terra, Aqua, Ventus, and Roxas could have confused things, they have each been strong enough characters in their own right to make fans care about why their introduction and subsequent involvement was necessary to the wider lore of Kingdom Hearts. At this point, there are countless characters who have graced Kingdom Hearts, as either original creations or by being borrowed from properties attached to Disney or Square Enix. But even though it may seem daunting at first glance, once you dive in and start digesting the content in its updated format, the plot is quite straightforward, at least on the surface. And if you want to take a deeper dive, then that door is always open to you as well. And that brings us on to the free-to-play Kingdom Hearts mobile gacha game, which is not part of any of the aforementioned collections, but does still contain content that relates to the Kingdom Hearts canon. Kingdom Hearts Key started out as a Japan-only online browser game and served as a prequel to the main series, telling the story of how the ancient Keyblade War came to be. And although the gameplay deviated greatly from its usual action RPG roots, it offered a truly different kind of storytelling that felt fresh and new to the Kingdom Hearts series. 2 years after its initial release, the mobile version, called Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key, was released, and it was later rebranded as Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, where it not only retold part of the story of Kingdom Hearts Key, but acted as a sequel by introducing new story elements. This had been continuously receiving updates for the past 5 years, and with each new update, alongside new story segments, new characters were introduced, familiar faces were given more backstory, and clues about what would come next in the series were being placed. In June 2020, it was again rebranded as Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Dark Road, and this continued in similar fashion, but at the start of this year, it was announced that the episodic prequel would finally be coming to a close. In an official statement from series director Tetsuya Nomura, he stated that the final chapter of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross had been written and that the story would be coming to a close before it transitioned to an offline app by September of 2021. And with everything concluded, it's now a good time to dive into the app, as there will be limited waiting around for updates. You can just go through it at your own pace. The conclusion of the mobile game also signifies an important moment within the Kingdom Hearts franchise, as the developers are now focused on what looks to be a very promising future. In a promotional video released in the summer of 2020, an image called Kingdom Hearts Series Second Phase was revealed and then quickly disappeared. The image showcased a chart of 2 rows of 5 different shaped boxes with arrows facing up and down between them. The first 3 boxes on the top row were already filled in with Kingdom Hearts related projects that had been released following Kingdom Hearts 3. So within the second phase of the series, this chart shows that there are at least 7 more Kingdom Hearts related properties currently in the works, and that's a very exciting prospect. The size and scope of those projects remains to be seen. However, there is room to speculate that with the end of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and Dark Road, another mobile game may be on the horizon. Following the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, we can also speculate that Square Enix will be committing to creating another home console version of the franchise, and then there's also the hints relating to Yozora and the remnant stories that could be ported over from what was once known as Final Fantasy Versus 13. Another reason relates to supporting material that's now becoming available to Western audiences. Since 1998, Square and then Square Enix has been publishing physical game guidebooks under the Ultimania brand. These books would contain exclusive interviews from the developers, astonishing pieces of concept art, and copious amounts of lore that fleshed out each game's worlds and characters. Historically, these books have never made their way overseas, leaving many fans to rely on fan translations to find out some of the more intriguing details. But in 2017, Dark Horse Books started to work more closely with Square Enix with the objective of bringing their Japan-only books over to Western audiences. It has seen them publish numerous books so far, such as the Final Fantasy 25th Anniversary Memorial Ultimania as the Final Fantasy Ultimania Archives and the Final Fantasy 15 Official Works. And as this has so far been a successful endeavour, Square Enix has opened this up to other franchises, including Kingdom Hearts. The first book, releasing in June of 2021, will be Kingdom Hearts: The Story Before Kingdom Hearts 3. This was first released in Japan in 2014 alongside the release of 2.5 HD Remix. Its contents feature a look back at numerous pieces of artwork, and there's information dating all the way back to the first installment. Now 7 years on, fans will finally be able to purchase it in the West, adding a fantastic piece to their collection. Kingdom Hearts has always had Disney as an integral part of its identity, and many of the worlds and characters that have shown up throughout the series come from Disney's immensely huge catalogue that contains 2D animated films, 3D animated films, and even live-action films. As time goes on and more films are being produced, it has proven to become increasingly expensive to try and watch every Disney film that has been featured in Kingdom Hearts. But in 2019, Disney released their long-awaited streaming platform called Disney+. Its catalogue contains every single Disney film referenced in Kingdom Hearts, so if you've ever gone through a world in Kingdom Hearts without having seen the original film, Disney Plus can really help you out with that. This in itself is a real nice to have reason to check out the Kingdom Hearts franchise, but the perfect tie-in is that there is a heavy rumour that a Kingdom Hearts TV show is in development by Square Enix that will be exclusive to Disney+. Although nothing has yet been confirmed, as Square Enix is also producing an animated show in advance of Neo: The World Ends With You, it does seem likely that a Kingdom Hearts TV show could well be on the way, and if it does exist, it would be a real treat. And that brings us on to the last reason, which relates back to Kingdom Hearts arriving on the PC. Mods have always been synonymous with PC gaming, with many companies embracing this model to build communities and keep their games fresh. But it doesn't just relate to PC games, as the Kingdom Hearts modding community is already quite well established. Devoted fans have been able to create mods through means of emulation, and the amount of progress they've made over the years is absolutely astonishing. From texture and model swaps to complete gameplay overhauls, fans are committed to developing new and creative ways to play their favourite games. With the introduction of the PC ports, the modding community will only benefit from their inclusion, and we cannot wait to see what they come up with as a way of enhancing and entertaining the Kingdom Hearts community. So yeah, they were 7 reasons why we believe now is the perfect time to get into Kingdom Hearts. How many of you guys are planning to pick up Kingdom Hearts on PC, and how many of you will be doing so for the first time? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Right guys, this is Daryl signing out. I hope to see you all again soon for more Kingdom Hearts goodness.